Are you ready to boss up and start that business? You're listening to Be a Boss Coaching Podcast. My name is Beatriz Rivera, and this show is my empowerment tool and community builder. My mission is to help queer and WOC, that's queer and women of color, start their businesses with accountability, clarity, and most of all, confidence. On this podcast, I go over the question, can entrepreneurship help us reach our potential? I talk about my hardships, my wins, and you'll even hear how other queer and women of color have navigated and come to own their entrepreneur identity. I'm a social worker turned entrepreneur coach, and as such, of course, I'm going to give you tips, inspiration, and maybe even some laughs to help you not just start, but transform into that boss. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Be a Boss Coaching Podcast. I am your host, Bia. I am an entrepreneur and business coach for women of color, BIPOC, and queer entrepreneurs who want to walk along their journey like a boss. And today, I want to talk about mindsets, what that is, and the type of mindset that I've been able to adopt in my journey as a new business owner, as a coach, and what I try to teach and allow the people that I work with to understand and to grow and nurture as they walk along their journey. Because if something that I've learned in this process where I'm building a coaching business and where I'm teaching others is that what we believe about what we're trying to do is actually a reflection of how we behave and how we continue to do our work. So I want to talk to you about that. I want to get into what mindset is and also the type of mindset that I use in my everyday entrepreneurial world, and as I begin to think about new things to offer, how I want to run my business, how I want to show up in this space, in this entrepreneurial space, and what makes me keep going. Okay. I honestly cannot tell you the amount of times I've heard how difficult it is to transition from working 9 to 5 to full-time entrepreneurship. And that is because our mindsets about work are vastly different from mindsets about business. And I will get into what that means. But first, I want to reflect back to the jobs that I've held over the past decade. As I reflect back on the jobs that I've had, I realize that every single job that I've ever had, I've gotten really good at. And normally I don't like to toot my own horn, but when I think about those experiences, I realize that I was a really good worker and I've always been a really good worker. I'm a fast learner. I learn systems quickly. And one of my very first jobs right out of college was to be a case manager at a disability law firm. And it was actually named one of Inc. 500's fastest growing companies. I quickly learned how to navigate office culture and the politics. And being that it was my very first office job, I didn't have any other office experience to compare it to. So I thought that the competition in the office and clearly I'll just call it shenanigans that happened in the office were normal. But despite the circus, that was my first office job because it was a circus. I was really good and I learned how to talk to my clients over the phone, releasing their anxieties and fears over their long awaited disability benefits case. And if anyone has ever had any experience with a disability case, usually when you get to the stage of a hearing in front of an ALJ or administrative law judge, once your case gets to that point, you're looking at anywhere between a 3-month wait to a year to maybe 2-year wait in front of an ALJ who is going to look over your case, look over your medical records, and decide if you qualify to receive disability benefits. But when I was at my job and working with folks who had been waiting for years over their disability case, it was my very first job where I talked to people. I talked to people from all over the country. We had clients from all over the country. And it really was one of my first jobs where I learned customer service, how to talk over the phone, how to talk to people, professionalism. And I learned how to prepare cases for a hearing in front of the ALJ, or as I mentioned, administrative law judge. And I even made great relationships with the ALJ assistants. But besides this job and the other office jobs after this one, I'd I had acquired tons of experience as a worker, and up until my last day as an administrative manager, I had always known that I was smart and capable and competent. But I didn't necessarily feel this way when I decided to go full time into my coaching business. And even though I had prepared for a very long time to quit my job, I had saved up money and I had talked with my partner about me quitting and him being the head of our household. Even though I had done all of that preparation, my mind hadn't done any preparation for what was to come. And that's a difference of what it's like to be a worker and all of a sudden not being a worker and being a full-time business owner. So today I'm going to share with you what mindset is and the overall entrepreneur mindset concepts that helped me adapt to the reality that I was a brand new business owner and coach, and how I began to get comfortable sharing who I am and what my business is and how I help people. And let's get into it. What is mindset? Okay. Mindsets are core assumptions that we make about the nature of ourselves or things in the world. They're a type of belief, and they're beliefs about our own abilities. They're beliefs about what we think about anything, any particular areas of our lives. We have mindsets, even if you don't know what mindset is, we have mindsets about stress. We have mindsets about our own capabilities. We have mindsets about our own limitations. We have mindsets about work, about business, about family, about absolutely any area that you can think about. We have mindsets. And let me give you an example. And this is an actual example from my own life. There was a time in my life where I wasn't very consistent with my exercise. And that was because prior to shifting my mindset about exercise, to me, the core belief around exercise was that exercise existed for you to lose weight. But a belief that trumped the belief around losing weight was that I wanted to eat whatever I wanted. So there were competing beliefs tugging at me all the time around exercise, but also wanting to eat what I wanted to eat. So essentially, the mindset that I had around exercise didn't serve me. So I decided to change the framework or the lens that I was viewing exercise from. I decided to change the belief to exercise is good for my mental health. And that is what made the shift for me and what created consistency for me when I decided to start exercising, because for me exercising was no longer about losing weight, which was something that, yeah, perhaps was important to me, but it wasn't as important as wanting to eat what I like to eat. But what was important to me is keeping my mental health in check and keeping my anxiety and depression levels low. And I knew that if I wanted to do that, that exercise would help me do that. So that I would exercise not because I wanted to lose weight, but because I wanted to remain and keep myself healthy, my mental health healthy. And that was important to me. And trust me, I had never been so consistent with working out in my life until I made that mindset shift around exercising. So, mindset is very powerful. It can change your behavior. And it's important to note that mindset is your perception, it's your beliefs and experiences, and they're a direct reflection of the world that you are living in, the interpretation filtered through lenses that you have about a particular area in your life. Mindset, there there's no right or wrong mindset. It's just to be aware of the ways in which your mindset is serving or not serving you. Okay, so let's go back to what I was talking about in the beginning around the mindsets that you have about work and the mindsets that you have about business, because they may not always align, which is something to be aware of and something to notice if you are making that shift or that transition from being in a 9 to 5 to being your own boss and owning your own business. And here are the 5 concepts that I constantly come back to in this journey as a new business owner and in my work with entrepreneurs and business owners. Okay, so number 1 is to have an open and playful mind. One of the things that I believe in entrepreneurship and starting something from scratch is that you have to get comfortable and get back to this notion of playing. When you are playing, you are being open to new ways of doing things, to learning, to falling whenever you're unsuccessful about an idea that you have, and learning from that. So, playing to me is being open to both failure and successes in your journey, but ultimately learning from whatever the outcome is. So, think about what are the beliefs that you're going to shift if you have an idea and it doesn't go as you expected. If you were to look at it from a playing perspective, from the lens of you are playing, you are having fun, it's going to be so much easier for you to take whatever outcome came your way from whatever idea you had. Maybe you had a group that you really wanted to stand up and it never came to fruition. Maybe not enough people signed up, whatever the outcome was. And if that was the case, it's easy to just be in our sad place of, oh, nobody wanted to come work with me, nobody wanted to join my group. But what if you saw it from a perspective of playing? Okay, so what did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? What can I do next time that is going to entice someone to join this group? And it doesn't feel as sucky and terrible. It's easier to just pick yourself back up and remember that you're just playing and that you're learning. Okay, the second one is my favorite, And that's because I'm a social worker. Empathy. I really believe that having empathy in everything that you do, you're going to put the people and your audience and your customers and your clients first because it's who we want to serve. And having that up front and center, it's going to help you in the long term. So, having empathy, remembering to keep your people first, listening to them, listening to their feedback, it's going to help you to bring better services, to create better products, and in the long term, create trust and rapport from your community. Okay, the third concept of an entrepreneur mindset is to create. Creating is the core of entrepreneurship, it's the core of business. You are creating. When you think about what you're doing with business, you're creating ideas, you're creating a community, you're creating services, you're creating an experience. And that allows you to have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset, a growth mindset. You are learning and you're growing and you're expanding and you're not just fixed on an outcome that is going to take you twice as long to take the next action. The next one is experimenting. How are you going to test out your ideas? How are you going to test out your assumptions? You're never going to know how people will respond if you don't test your ideas, if you don't test your products and your services. Know that if you have something that you want to try out, you have to do it. And sometimes it takes a long time for us to be like, oh my gosh, okay, like how am I going to do this? This podcast, for example, it took me a long time to get this off the ground because I was afraid of the learning process and the learning curve that I knew I was going to have. But what I did is experiment with creating one episode first. And I broke down the entire process of podcasting because it was very overwhelming to think about everything that went into this process. But when I thought about simply making one episode, literally one episode, it helped me to digest and to experiment and to just think about creating one episode, putting and stitching one episode together, which made all of this much more digestible and possible. And now look at us. We're in episode 15. And the last one of having an entrepreneur mindset is reflecting. Because without reflection, how are you going to know what's working or what didn't work or what you could do better? I'm pretty sure that this is why I believe that as an introvert and going into business is such a game changer and can really bring out a lot of your potential and a lot of what you're capable of, is because you get to really think and bring out everything that you think you're good at and everything that you think you can possibly dominate and be really good at. And you can always come back and reflect and think about, did I like that? Did I enjoy doing this idea? Did I enjoy creating this product? Did I enjoy interacting with this community? You get to really reflect on your experience, on whatever you did with your business, whether it was a new service or trying out a new way of interacting with your community or interacting with new people. You get to think about it, and reflecting on that, you can make changes and think about, did I enjoy that? Would I want to explore that a little bit more? And you begin to align more and more to what your calling is as a business owner and why you started a business in the first place. Okay, so that is all, everyone. That is what I would consider an entrepreneur mindset, is these 5 things. They're not linear. You practice these in different stages of your business, different areas, different products, services, the circumstances of your business. Playing, empathy, creating, experimenting, and reflecting. It's just like having the core action of each one. and seeing your journey through these lenses and how this will allow you to see what's possible, what you could do differently, and how you can continue to reap your successes and create better and better results for yourself as you continue to grow. Because trust me, there will be seasons of failure and it's going to be frustrating and you might feel impatient. And in those moments, what are the entrepreneur mindset beliefs and values that you can come back to so that it can keep you on this journey and have you think about how you're living your life? Is this fruitful, successful? What decisions do you need to make for yourself and continue working towards a business that feels aligned to you and your values? So, what you may or may not know is that this episode actually was inspired by the guide that I created called the Be a Boss Coaching Entrepreneur Mindset Guide. And it's called How Creating Your Entrepreneur Mindset to Achieve Your Entrepreneur Goals. And I go over these 5 things. So come on over to beabosscoaching.com and I go over these 5 things: playing, empathy, creating, experimenting, and reflection. And I give you ideas as to how to implement these into your journey, into your everyday. And please come on over to Be a Boss Coaching and download this freebie. I hope that it's helpful. And I hope that you learned more about mindset and what that is and how powerful it can be. But remember that it's not all mindset work. You know, there is more than just mindset work that can create wonderful results and success in your business and in life. But this is just one powerful tool that can really create lasting results. All right. If you are a new listener, thank you for being here. Please come to Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if this episode or any other episode that you listen to has helped you in any way, your rating or review or both is super highly, very appreciated. You have no idea how much that would mean to me. You can screenshot it and tag it on Instagram. Let me know that you reviewed it and rated it, and that would be just amazing. Thank you so, so much. And if you have any questions about this episode, I will be posting about it on Instagram. So come on over to the comments, leave a comment, leave a question, tag me. And if you'd like, you can also send me questions over at the email at beatriz@beabosscoaching.com. All right. Thank you so much. Come back next week for another episode. I do have a nice little bonus episode this week that I'm really excited to release with a wonderful guest. Her name is Katia Quesada, and I cannot wait for you to hear her and her story. And it's a bonus episode I will be releasing in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.